Can you tell me why you're so passionate about skin cancer? How did it start?
I'm passionate about skin cancer since my brother died from melanoma. That was about 9 years ago. Prior to that, I had worked in oncology, and that's my specialty as a nurse, was working with people who have had cancer, who were diagnosed, going through their treatment, and finally I would be nursing people who were going through their last stages, which was a real privilege to me at the time. But it was always something that was going on with other people, although I was very compassionate. I lost a niece when she was 2, so I know about the death process, and so that was something I was really passionate about. And I experienced my own skin cancer where I lost a little bit of my nose, so I was very aware of how skin cancer can affect you. And that was just when I say just a BCC, it was a basal cell carcinoma. It was one of the least threatening type, although it was on my face, so I was a bit concerned about, where it could go from there. From that time, the time I was diagnosed with basal cell, I had a sister who was also diagnosed with melanoma, and she found hers getting out of the shower one day, as people tend to, and she went straight to the doctor. Luckily, she had hers removed. A few years later, my father had a melanoma removed from his ear, and that was great. We got that very early. At the same time, I have had a brother who was working in the northwest of Western Australia, and he was a truck driver and a scaffolder. So he was used to being outside. He was a real blokey bloke, used to drive trucks and hang with all the guys and just, do what men do, really. And he had a melanoma on his right temple, on the driver's side of his face, that he ignored. He had friends and family and loved ones urging him to go and see a doctor because they thought it was changing. And being, this real sort of ego-driven male that he was, he didn't appreciate people telling him what to do. He didn't think it was a problem. He just thought that it was getting darker because he was exposed to a lot of sunlight. By the time he had that removed, it had spread to his lymph nodes in his neck. And when they removed it, they wanted him to go back and have some, chemotherapy or radiation therapy, some immunotherapy. Again, being a bloke, he ignored that. He had the misbelief that the doctors just wanted to sort of get him back and take him through this treatment and, get some money off him. As far as he was concerned, it was just a little skin cancer and it wasn't going to harm him at all. Once you have it removed, then that's it. That's all you need to have done. So it wasn't till about 6 or 7 years later that he rang me one night. I was cooking dinner and the phone rang, and he used to come over and we were good mates actually. And at the end of the conversation, he just threw this question at me, which was, what does it mean when you're coughing up blood? And that sort of sends up a bit of a red flag when you've worked in the medical profession. So he ended up passing away from that. And that's when I thought, you know what, I really need to get in there and get to talk to men while they're healthy and explain exactly what happens if you don't take your skin seriously. So I've become really passionate about that. And I think my passion has grown since I've been out there working in the community, doing workplace skin cancer screening and talking to a lot of guys who haven't got a clue about skin cancer. They just don't know, don't want to know. It's not anything that'll affect them. And even if they do get a cancer, a little skin cancer, they can just have it cut out and it's going to go away. So the more I was out there, the more I've been exposed to men, the more or not just men, women as well, but men tend to ignore their skin. So, and then I would find so many skin cancers and so much melanomas out there in the community that could potentially be lethal, that I become really passionate about getting out there and talking to people, particularly, again, the male groups, and just really informing them about the truth about skin cancer. And the more people I've spoken to, the more skin cancers we've found, the more passionate I get that, we just need to get this information out there and get people thinking about it seriously and the consequences of it. People I spoke to weren't aware of some of the facts and had a lot of myths around skin cancer, and the fact that people don't know about their skin. It's just something they take for granted. They're not aware that it's actually an organ, and if that gets sick, you get sick. So my main inspiration was to answer a lot of the questions that I've been asked over the years, or a lot of the same questions, and rather than going out there and trying to save the world or spread the word one person at a time, I thought it was way easier just to write the book and get it out there to workplaces. And actually it was to support a lot of the clients, some of the workplaces that I go to, for them to get this into the hands of their workers. And so they've got that information at hand 24/7, 52 weeks of the year. And they're not forgetting that information. And it's not just for them, it was for their families as well.
So tell me about why you chose to give Tim a call.
Once I had written the book, I felt the need to get some people to contribute to the book who have a significant experience or something to say. And I had seen through the melanoma association, I think it's the Melanoma Association, that Tim was an ambassador for that. And I just thought, you know what, here's this amazing man who has achieved so much in his life and a real, man's man. And I thought, well, I would really like some words from Tim in the book to address to men. Again, not that the book is totally focused at men directly, but a lot of men will be getting this, put into their hand. And I think it's really important to have someone who's been through that experience, someone who men can relate to, because of Tim being an elite sports person. And I rang to see whether that was a possibility, and I was told to send an email, and surprisingly enough, the next day, Tim phoned me and I spoke to him, and it was wonderful. He's been an absolute inspiration. So, yeah, that's how I got to meet Tim.
Why do you think he's such a great ambassador for skin cancer?
I think it's his attitude towards skin cancer, and I think that his message to men in particular, more men will die from melanoma than women. In a male population, particularly between the ages of 15 and 35. It's the number one cancer killer of that age group. I think Tim can get the message into the male mind. It's not just about, men, older men, it's about younger men as well. And my sons have lost a friend through melanoma, and I know that was devastating for his parents. He was an only son. And if Tim's words can save one life, then, and I know that those words will, then, he's done an amazing job, and the book has done its what I wanted it to do. The book has done its job. I'm hoping that the relationship that I have with Tim builds over time, and I think the book is just going to be the beginning of the relationship that we have. I believe that Tim and I working together can really significantly get the message into people's psyche, to get into their workplaces, to get into their sporting clubs, for the community in general to look at reversing the trends of skin cancer. And this is exactly why I believe me and Tim will make a great team, because we're both really passionate. We're coming at it from different angles. He has had his own battles with melanoma, and he knows the effect that that has on the family, as him as a man, and his workmates and colleagues. And I know from a family perspective and from losing my brother and the effects that that had on me, but not only me, it's a complete ripple effect through the community. It affects not only the person who's suffering the melanoma, it affects their immediate family and loved ones. It affects their friends, their colleagues, the whole community, their workplace. When you lose someone to melanoma or skin cancer, it's a loss to many, many people.